My name is Phil Ray, and I'm a professor of biology and the Rebecca and Ari Beldegren Distinguished Director of the Vagelus Program in Life Sciences and Management, otherwise known as LSM. As is obvious from my accent, I'm a Brit. It's a long story, but the short of it is that I'm an adopted kid who, as the child of Peggy Cooper, actually started life in Wolverhampton as Anthony Paul Cooper before being adopted by Alan and Josie Ray and assuming my current name, Philip Ray. And that adoption was in the town of Buxton, where I spent the first 2 years of my life before we as a family, myself and my adoptive parents, moved to Leicester. Anyone who knows me from my formative years, if you will, in Leicester, they would almost certainly identify me as a classical trumpet player. That was what I was best known for until the age of 17 or 18. That's what I cared about the most. Sure, I love science, but everyone, my friends, teachers and parents, tacitly assumed that I'd end up as a trumpet player in one of the professional orchestras. When I reflect on these times, especially as a member of the trumpet section of the Leicestershire School Symphony Orchestra, the LSSO, actually one of the best known youth orchestras at the time, when I reflect on this, I continue to be amazed. We had the opportunity to perform at venues like the Royal Festival Hall in London or under the baton of conductors and composers such as Sir Michael Tippett, Sir Arthur Bliss, James Loughran, and Andre Previn. And that's not all. We recorded 2 full albums on the Argo and Decca labels, and we were featured in a rehearsal with Andre Previn in the BBC show The Other LSO. Incidentally, it was through music that I first met my partner, Jenny, my muse in all things, when she was only 14 and I was only 16. And if you want to know a dirty little secret, it's that most of the tricks and maneuvers I now employ as an educator are ones I first learned from Jenny, who is a phenomenal elementary school teacher. That said, science was always with me. A moment I identify as key was when my A-level biology teacher, his name was John Kramer, who incidentally was and still is an authority on Diptera, 2-winged insects, things like mosquitoes and houseflies. So during my last couple of years at high school, he said something to me along the lines of, "Philip, you are really very creative when it comes to thinking your way through experiments. Have you thought about the possibility of studying biology at university?" Thanks to those few seemingly innocent words that John Kramer shared with me, that I first began to realize that science and music are perhaps not so different. Both require technical competence acquired through extensive study and practice. If things work out, eventually allow you, really if you're persistent in your efforts, to transcend the technical and ultimately be truly creative, truly expressive, whether it be in music or in science. So I attended the University of Sussex in Brighton, England, where I took my first biochemistry class with Tom Blundell, now Sir Tom Blundell, who at the time was a junior lecturer in the School of Biological Sciences. And to this day, I distinctly remember him showing us the crystal structure of the protein hormone insulin in its hexameric state. And in showing this structure to us, Tom exclaimed, "Do you see it? The South Rose window of Notre Dame, Paris." That was truly igniting experience for me. After completing my final examinations, I was called upon for a viva voce, an oral examination used in British universities to assess students' understanding of their research or their coursework. The person who was called upon to be my external examiner was Professor F.R. Whatley, Bob Whatley, Sherardian Professor of Botany at the University of Oxford. He was a world leader in plant biochemistry. He's especially well known for his really fundamental research on photosynthesis, on photophosphorylation. There can be little doubt that Professor Whatley, Bob, and that viva voce were game changers in my life. Why do I say this? Because it's in the course of this oral examination that he asked if I might be interested in coming to Oxford to study toward a DPhil, a PhD with him. To be honest, this left me dumbfounded because I'd never really taken seriously the possibility of being worthy of matriculation at such an illustrious institution. But that is indeed what I went on to do under the supervision of Bob Watley and Barry Juniper. I entered Oxford as a member of Magdalen College to investigate biochemical aspects of fluid secretion and digest absorption by the digestive glands of Dionaea muscipula, Venus's flytrap. And that is what first took me into the world of membrane transport and proton pumps. I guess one thing I can lay claim to as being the guy that identified hydrochloric acid as being the acidic component of the digestive fluid of the Venus flytrap. After earning my doctorate, I served as a research fellow, and I was headhunted by Rothamsted Research, formerly known as the Institute of Arable Crops Research, to join them as a research leader, and this was at an institution which actually happened to be the oldest agricultural research institution in the world. I came to Penn because the then director of the Plant Science Institute, Department of Biology, Tony Cashmore, sent me a letter asking if I might be interested in applying for an assistant professor of biology position they had on offer for a plant biochemist. And as they say, the rest is history. Those who know me from my high school days see me as a trumpet player. Those who know me from my early years at Penn recognize me as a dedicated plant biochemist and molecular biologist. And those who know me from more recent times identify me as founding faculty director of the LSM program, a science writer, communicator, and educator. I'm also a passionate photographer. What I try to do in a photograph, whether isolating form, color, or light, to reveal something familiar in a new way, is not so different from what I do in the classroom or on the printed page. In both cases, I'm trying to capture something essential that might otherwise go unnoticed. It's all about noticing, framing, and revealing.